Welcome back to our journey through one of the greatest books ever written. In the last episode, we watched as Socrates got pulled into a philosophical conversation that would change the world. We saw simple definitions of justice crumble under examination. An old man facing death, a young heir defending his father's beliefs, questions that seemed straightforward, revealing depths of complexity. And then, everything exploded. A man named Thrasymachus, a professional teacher and master debater, burst into the conversation with a claim so radical, so cynical, so brutally honest that it shook everyone to their core. Justice is nothing more than the advantage of the stronger. Forget everything you think you know about right and wrong. Thrasymachus says it's all a lie. Morality? Just a tool used by the powerful to control the weak. The strong make the rules. They call those rules justice, and everyone else has to obey or face punishment. It's a vision of the world that's dark, harsh, and uncomfortably familiar. How many people today secretly believe exactly this, that rules are for suckers, that the real winners are those who game the system? The courtyard has gone deathly quiet. This isn't a friendly debate anymore. This is a battle for the soul of how we should live. And everyone is watching Socrates, waiting to see if the old philosopher has an answer to this brutal challenge. What happens next is absolutely brilliant. Socrates sits perfectly still for a moment. Then he speaks, his voice calm and measured. That's a fascinating theory, Thrasymachus, but I'm not sure I fully understand it yet. Let me ask you something. You agree that subjects should obey their rulers, correct? Obviously, Thrasymachus snaps. And these rulers are human beings, right? Not gods, which means they can make mistakes. What's your point? Well, if rulers sometimes make mistakes, then sometimes they might accidentally pass laws that don't benefit themselves. They think a law will help them, but it actually harms them. Would you agree that's possible? Thrasymachus shifts uncomfortably. I suppose so. And you said justice is obeying the rulers and doing what benefits them. So when rulers make these mistaken laws, justice would require citizens to do things that actually harm the rulers, which means justice would be the advantage of the weaker, not the stronger. The crowd gasps. With just a few questions, Socrates has turned Thrasymachus' entire argument on its head. But Thrasymachus isn't done yet. Polemarchus jumps in excitedly. He's got you there, Thrasymachus. But another young man named Cleitophon speaks up. Wait, I think Thrasymachus meant something different. He meant that justice is what the stronger believes to be to their advantage. No, Thrasymachus interrupts angrily. That's not what I meant at all. Socrates, do you think a doctor who makes mistakes in healing is still really a doctor in that moment of error? I'd say he made a mistake in his medical practice. Exactly. You wouldn't call him a doctor in the precise sense when he's making errors. Same with any craftsman or ruler. In the strict sense, a ruler who makes mistakes isn't really a ruler at that moment. A true ruler never makes mistakes about their own advantage. They always establish laws that benefit themselves. And that's what justice is, serving the interest of the one who's truly stronger. Thrasymachus sits back with a satisfied smirk. He thinks he's saved his argument by creating an idealized version of a ruler who never makes mistakes. Socrates nods slowly. I see. So we're talking about rulers in the precise technical sense, those who rule with true skill. Let me explore that idea. And here's where things get really interesting. Tell me, Thrasymachus, does a doctor, in the precise sense, aim to make money or to heal the sick? To heal the sick. And does a ship's captain, in the precise sense, aim to make money or to command sailors and navigate safely? To command sailors. So each craft has a natural purpose. Medicine exists for the body's benefit. Navigation exists for the sailor's benefit. No craft exists primarily for its own benefit, right? Medicine doesn't exist to make medicine better. It exists to make bodies better. Fine, yes. And does any craft seek to benefit anyone other than its subject? Does medicine seek the advantage of medicine or the advantage of the body? The advantage of the body. So here's my point. When someone practices a craft in the precise sense, they seek the benefit of whatever that craft serves, not their own benefit. A true doctor seeks the patient's health, not the doctor's profit. Thrasymachus frowns. He can see where this is going. Now, you said a ruler, in the precise sense, always knows what's to their advantage. But if ruling is a craft, and every craft seeks the benefit of its subject, then a true ruler seeks the benefit of those they rule. The logic is crushing. If Thrasymachus wants to use the language of precise definitions and true rulers, then he has to accept that true rulers, like true doctors, serve those they rule. Thrasymachus's face reddens. This is just word games, Socrates. Is it? Think about shepherds. You'd probably say shepherds fatten sheep for the shepherd's benefit, not the sheep's benefit. But that's only true if we're talking about shepherds as businessmen. A shepherd, in the precise sense, cares for the sheep's well-being. The money-making is a different skill entirely. It's commerce, not shepherding. Same with ruling. Yes, rulers often make money from their position, but that's not the craft of ruling. That's the craft of making money. The craft of ruling, in its pure form, seeks the benefit of the ruled. Thrasymachus is starting to sweat. His elegant theory is crumbling, but he's a professional debater, and he's not about to give up. You know what, Socrates? You're living in a fantasy world. Let me tell you how the world actually works. He stands up, his voice rising with passion. Look around you. In every situation, in every context, the unjust person comes out ahead of the just person. In business partnerships, when the partnership dissolves, who walks away richer? The unjust partner. In matters of taxes, who pays less? The unjust person who cheats. Who gets more from the state? The one who manipulates the system. He's pacing now, gesturing wildly. And when we get to tyranny, that's when the truth really shines through. The tyrant doesn't just steal a wallet or break into a house. He enslaves entire populations. He seizes temples, conquers nations, takes everything. And what happens? Is he punished? No, he's called blessed. He's called happy. Even the very people who condemn petty theft look at the successful tyrant with envy and admiration. Thrasymachus's voice drops to something almost mocking. You know why people condemn injustice? Not because they think it's wrong to commit it. They condemn it because they're afraid of suffering it. They're too weak to be unjust on a grand scale themselves. That's all morality is, the whining of the weak. He looks directly at Socrates. Injustice, when practiced on a large enough scale, is stronger, freer, and more powerful than justice. Justice is truly what I said from the beginning, the advantage of the stronger. Injustice is what actually benefits oneself. The courtyard is dead silent. This isn't just an academic argument anymore. Thrasymachus has laid out a complete philosophy of life. Be ruthless. Take what you want. Morality is for suckers. And everyone is looking at Socrates to see if he has an answer to this brutal challenge. Socrates takes a long breath. When he speaks, his voice is gentle, almost sad. My friend, you've given us a lot to think about, but you're about to leave having stirred up this huge question without staying to help us find the truth. You're asking us to choose how to live our entire lives. Should we pursue justice or injustice? That's not a small matter. What do you mean it's not clear? Thrasymachus shoots back. I just explained it to you. You did, but there are some problems with what you said. Let me ask you this. Would you call injustice a virtue? Absolutely. I'd call it good judgment, in fact. The unjust person is smart. Interesting. And would you say the just person is naive and simple-minded? Yes, completely.
So you're placing injustice in the category of wisdom and virtue, and justice in the category of stupidity and vice. That's exactly what I'm saying. Now, watch what Socrates does. He's about to show that Thrasymachus's position leads to absurd conclusions. Tell me, do unjust people try to get more than both just and unjust people? Of course, the unjust person wants to get more than everyone. And does the just person try to get more than another just person? No, the just person doesn't compete with other just people. What about with unjust people? Does the just person try to get more than them? The just person tries to get what's fair even from unjust people.
All right, let's compare this to other areas. Take music. Does a skilled musician, when tuning an instrument, try to tune it tighter or looser than another skilled musician would? No, they'd tune it to the same proper pitch. But would a skilled musician try to do better than an unskilled person? Yes, of course. Now here's the pattern. The wise and good person doesn't try to outdo others who are wise and good. They only try to outdo those who are different from themselves. But the ignorant person tries to outdo everyone, both the wise and the ignorant. Thrasymachus sees where this is going, but he can't escape. So the unjust person who tries to outdo everyone is like the ignorant person, and the just person who doesn't try to outdo other just people is like the wise person. Therefore, the just person belongs to the wise and good, and the unjust person belongs to the ignorant and bad. Thrasymachus has been trapped by his own logic. He wanted to call injustice wisdom, but the pattern of how just and unjust people behave proves the opposite. But Socrates isn't finished. He has two more devastating arguments. Let's talk about power. You say the unjust person is stronger, but can unjust people work together effectively? Why not? Thrasymachus mutters. Think about it. If a group of robbers or criminals were completely unjust to each other, constantly betraying and cheating each other, could they accomplish anything? Well, no. They'd need to maintain some justice among themselves just to cooperate. Complete injustice destroys any group from within. Even pirates need trust among their crew. So injustice doesn't create strength, it creates division and weakness. Justice is what enables groups to act powerfully together. Thrasymachus is slumping in his seat now. The professional debater is being systematically dismantled. One more thing, Socrates continues. Everything has a function, right? Eyes are for seeing. Ears are for hearing, and with each function comes a specific excellence. The excellence of eyes is seeing well. Obviously. Does the soul have a function? If anything does. And what would the excellence of the soul be? Wouldn't it be the very thing we've been discussing, justice? I suppose so. So can a soul without its excellence perform its function well? No. Then a bad soul rules and manages life badly, while a good soul does these things well. And we agreed the good soul is the just soul. Therefore, the just person lives well, and the unjust person lives badly. And whoever lives well is blessed and happy, while whoever lives badly is miserable. The conclusion lands like a thunderclap. So justice, far from being what benefits the stronger, is actually what benefits the person who has it. Justice is profitable. Injustice never pays. Thrasymachus has no response. The man who burst into the conversation like a wild animal now sits silently, his grand cynical vision in ruins. He mumbles something about Socrates having his feast of words and then falls quiet. But notice something important here. Even though Socrates has defeated Thrasymachus's arguments, he's not satisfied, because he's realized something troubling. Friends, Socrates says, I feel like I've been wandering from topic to topic. I've argued that justice is profitable, but I never answered the basic question, what is justice? Before I can prove justice is better than injustice, shouldn't I know what justice actually is? I'm like someone at a banquet who grabs food before properly finishing the previous course. I rushed to talk about whether justice is wisdom or ignorance, whether it's profitable or not, before we figured out what it actually is. He looks around the courtyard with a slight smile. So, I haven't really learned anything tonight. If I don't know what justice is, I hardly can know whether it's a virtue or whether the just person is happy or miserable. And that's where Book 1 ends, not with triumphant answers, but with honest uncertainty. Socrates has destroyed false answers, but he hasn't found the true one yet. This is what makes Plato's Republic so powerful. It doesn't give you easy answers, it forces you to think for yourself. Thrasymachus represented something dangerous, the cynical view that morality is just a game played by the powerful, that justice is whatever you can get away with. It's a view that's still popular today. How many people secretly believe that rules are for suckers, that the real winners are those who cheat the system? But Socrates showed us that this view contains contradictions, that groups need justice to function, that injustice destroys from within, that the person who lives unjustly might gain wealth and power, but loses something essential about what makes life worth living. Yet the deepest question remains unanswered. What is justice? That question will drive everything that comes next. In Book 2, Glaucon and Adeimantus will push back harder than Thrasymachus ever did. They'll demand that Socrates prove justice is good in itself, not just for its rewards. And that's when we'll get the ring of Gyges, the divided city, the tripartite soul, and the famous allegory of the cave. But that's a story for next time. If you enjoyed this deep dive into ancient wisdom, subscribe for more. Drop a comment. Do you think Thrasymachus had a point? Is justice really just something we made up, or is there something deeper to it? Keep questioning, keep thinking. That's what philosophy is all about.